bring to mind one area in your life, not in the world, in your life, where you desire a miracle. See it clearly. Imagine it already done. See the healing. See the harmony. See the abundance. See the peace. Let that image be filled with light and love. As you know, we are embarking on a journey experiencing and creating and reawakening to the possibility of miracles. Last week we talked about miracles being real. They are real. So oftentimes we think, oh, they just happened in the past when Jesus was alive or the Buddha was alive or whatever. No, they happen all the time. Somebody said to me this morning that every time your heart beats, it's a miracle. Every time you take a breath of air, it's a miracle. But there's more. Wait, there's more. We can create miracles. And today, we're going to talk about how we begin to do that. That's what this whole series is about. So let me begin with a question. Have you ever considered the miracles you seek begin as simple pictures in your mind's eye? That's what Becca just sang to us about. She didn't know I was going to say this. The miracles you seek begin as simple pictures in your mind's eye. We explored last week how miracles are not rare events bestowed upon us from some deity way up in the sky or from outside sources. They are the natural outcomes of being in spiritual alignment. And so today we take the next step in that journey, because before any miracle can manifest in our lives, before any healing, before any harmony, before any transformation can take root, it has to be in our imagination. What is imagination? Imagination is more than just daydreaming or wishful thinking. It is one of the 12 powers that Charles Fillmore identified as innate to every human being, a divine faculty that we all have access to. He wrote this: imagination is the faculty of mind that images and forms, the power to shape and form thought. You have the power to shape and form your thoughts. So it's time to stop letting outside sources, outside influences shape and form our thoughts. It's time to take ownership of our thoughts and create, starting in imagination, a miracle of transformation. That miracle of transformation can be for us as individuals. It can be for us as a community. It can be for a nation. It can be for the world. But it has to start where? Thank you. Helen gets a gold star. Imagination is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. It's the starting point of every creation. Think about this. Every building, every invention, every piece of art, every social movement began as an idea in somebody's imagination before it became a reality. In Proverbs, it says, "Where there is no vision, the people perish." Where there is no vision, the people perish. What visions are we holding? What visions are you holding? Vision powered by imagination gives direction and purpose. Without it, we drift. With it, we create. You know, I truly believe that a lot of what's happening in our nation and our world today is the result of what has happened when we have lost vision. I look at history, especially the history of our country, and for better or for worse, in every period, every major event we went through, we had a vision. But after we landed on the moon, there was no more visions. And so we've been drifting. And what happens when you drift? You drift downward. It's time to create a new vision, and we can be the ones to start it. When we speak of miracles, we're talking about the extraordinary becoming ordinary through spiritual law. A miracle is simply the result of aligning with divine truth, and imagination is essential in that alignment. Remember last week when I said miracles are not for the lucky, they are for the, anybody remember? No, willing, willing. Write it down. If you're using the notes, highlight it. Miracles are not for the lucky, they are for the willing. We must be willing to be a channel for Spirit to work through. We must be willing to be a channel for natural law to work through. We must be willing to prepare our minds like a farmer prepares a garden for a miracle to grow. We must be willing to do the work in consciousness to prepare the way for the outworking of the miracle. Think about the miracles Jesus did, like before he fed the multitude with the loaves and fishes, before the blind saw or the lame walked. Jesus had a vision. He had a vision of wholeness. He had a vision of abundance. He had a vision of possibility. His imagination was not tuned to the appearances around him. He was focused on truth. He saw beyond limitation to the truth of God's perfection. Unity author Merle Fillmore, our co-founder, said this: "It is through the imagination that the formless takes form." And she reminded us that when we hold visions of health, when we hold visions of peace, when we hold visions of prosperity, when we hold visions of love, whatever, we set in motion spiritual law. And our part is to faithfully nurture those images, trusting that divine substance responds to our energy. So how do we do it? How do we use it? Well, the first thing I'm going to share with you is that you are already using it. Every moment. You are imagining whether you're aware of it or not. But what are we imagining? Good or not? I imagined many of us yesterday, and I did it for a little while too, imagined the worst. It's time to start imagining what we want to see rather than what others are creating. Are we imagining success or failure? Are we imagining love or conflict? In the revealing word, Charles Fillmore wrote, "Imagination gives us the ability to project ourselves through time and space and rise above all limitations. And what we consistently imagine, we eventually experience. Because our thoughts, charged with feelings, create the molds into which divine substance flows. And when we imagine from a place of fear or a place of hatred, we build barriers, we build walls. But when we imagine from a place of faith, we build bridges." That's why Jesus said, "According to your faith, let it be done to you." Faith fuels imagination, and imagination creates vision. What are we envisioning? Because together, that shapes our reality. I yesterday came across a story that I just felt, well, I'm going to include this here because it's such a cool story I didn't know. It's a story about a person who was a child actor, and he experienced a fair amount of success as a child actor. But as he grew into adulthood, when everybody said he was going to become a great actor as an adult, he had a vision. He wanted to do something more. He wanted to be more. And so rather than just act, he had a vision of becoming a storyteller. You know, when you're an actor, you're telling somebody else's story. He wanted to tell the stories. He wanted to be the creator. And he had a vision of stepping into being a producer and a director. And everybody told him, "Oh, you can't do that. What, are you crazy? Here you are, you're newly married with a newborn child. And yeah, you're comfortable, but you got a family to support. And you've never, ever, ever in your 21 years of life done anything other than act. You can't possibly know what it's like to be a producer or a director. You couldn't possibly have the skills. But he had a vision, and he let go and walked away from acting. Let go of the success he had already achieved. He let go of the comfort. He let go of the income, and everyone thought he was crazy. And yet, despite the doubts around him, he had the vision. He kept it in his imagination. He built a picture of what it would look like. And eventually, a man named Roger Corman came to him. Many of you probably don't know who Roger Corman is. I didn't. But he was known for financing young producers and directors and helping them get started. And he came to him and said, I believe in you. I believe your potential. He caught the vision. And so he funded that young man's first movie. It was Grand Theft Auto. And for those of you who don't know, the producer was Ron Howard. What if he had not had that vision? What if he had not built in his imagination that person he wanted to be? Look at the stories. We would not have had the privilege of him sharing with us through the years. So how do we do that? How do we do it? Whatever vision you're holding in your consciousness, if you're not, get one. You are more than you have become. I don't care how old you are. I'm 67. I'm just beginning. I affirm that when I'm 97, I will say, I'm just beginning. I want to be like Charles Fillmore, who wrote when he was 94 years old, I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm and spring forth with a mighty effort to do that which ought to be done by me today. And he didn't run out of breath doing it. What do you believe about yourself? What are you holding in imagination? Who are you yet to be? What are you yet to do? It doesn't have to be anything big and earth-shattering, but what miracles are waiting to be manifest through you? Well, let's talk about how we consciously cultivate this energy, how we consciously do this for good, for healing, for expansion, for miracles. Well, guess what we start with? Well, we start with imagination. What's the next step, do you think? Meditation. Always, 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 always. Prayer and meditation. In your quiet time, take the moments to see what you desire in its highest expression. For yourself, for unity, for the world. Do you want peace? Start holding the vision of it. Start seeing, what would peace look like? What would peace look like if America and Iran said, enough, we're laying down the weapons, let's talk? What would that look like? If you seek healing, picture your body vibrant and whole. If you seek healing in the world, picture world leaders coming together and healing. If you seek peace, envision yourself calm and centered and make that image clear. You can do that in meditation. Our imagination works hand in hand with the spoken word. That's the next part. Affirm aloud the vision you hold. I see myself strong and vital. Let's say that. I see myself strong and vital. I see harmony in all my relationships together. Harmony in all my relationships. I see abundance flowing in my life. I see peace in the entire world. Now here's where we make a mistake. We'll go out of here at the end of the service and start criticizing, condemning, and complaining about what's going on instead of holding to the vision we just created. In the words of Bob Newhart, stop it. Some of you remember that sketch. Emily Cady in Lessons in Truth said this: desire in the heart is always God tapping at the door of your consciousness with infinite supply, a supply that is forever useless unless you accept it. Unless you accept it. So guard against negative imaging. Become aware of where your imagination goes when it's left unchecked. And it will. But when it happens, gently guide it back. When it drifts to worry and fear, guide it back to faith and peace. When it drifts to ill health, guide it back to wholeness. Remember Philippians 4:8, when Paul wrote, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, think about these things. Even if they're not readily apparent around you, think about those things. We use our imagination for ourselves, but we also use it in service to others. We talk sometimes about service. How do we serve the homeless? How do we serve the starving? How do we serve peace? How do we serve whatever in the outer? But just using our imagination properly is service to others. We set the standard. We model what can be done. We use our imagination to see the highest good, not just for ourselves, but for everybody. So imagine your loved ones, blessed, healed, and joyful. Imagine peace in places of conflict. Imagine harmony where there is discord. In this way, we contribute to the miracles on a collective level. Now understand this. Having imagination is a responsibility. It's a gift, but it is also a responsibility. What we consistently imagine shapes not only our own lives, but the world around us. Our collective imagination builds a consciousness for our communities, for our nations, and for our planet. You know, a lot of what we are witnessing unfold in our nation and across the world is a direct result of what we've been imagining. For as long as I can remember, the dominant narrative pushed by news, social media, institutions, and governments has been one of doom and gloom and religion, not unity, thankfully. But imagination is a powerful source and force. I meant force. It works in both directions, for good or for not good. Whatever you imagine and hold and put your energy into will manifest. You will experience it. And I believe we've invested so much negative imagination into fear, hatred, anger, worry, that in many ways we have manifested it. But here's the good news. If we manifested what we don't want through the power of imagination, guess what we can do? We can manifest what we do want through the power of imagination. So what do we want? Abundance, enough for everyone, enough food, enough shelter, enough opportunity, enough love for everyone. Shelter for every person on the planet, equality for every person on the planet, peace for everyone everywhere, a healed climate. For when we live in harmony, miracles happen. I like to say we created this mess by imagining amiss. But we also have the ability to create the fix. Someday I'll expand that into a longer poem. We created the mess by imagining amiss, but we also have the ability to create the fix. That's the really good news. I truly believe that our imagination, when directed with purpose and love, can transform the entire world. It starts with each one of us. It can transform lives. It can transform communities. Charles Fillmore challenged us to be disciplined and purposeful in our imagining. To be disciplined and purposeful. He said this: we are the image and likeness of God because we have the power to project ourselves through the imaging faculty of the mind. In other words, we are co-creators of our reality with God. And when we imagine the good, when we call it forth, we help to bring it into being. When we imagine wholeness, we set the stage for healing. When we imagine miracles, we help them become everyday experiences. Think of Dr. Martin Luther King, who said, "I have a dream." Remember that speech? I think all of us are old enough to remember that speech. If you're not, I'll play it for you in my office. His words painted a picture of a world transformed, a vision of justice, of equality, of brotherhood. He ignited a movement that continues to this day, and the work is not done. That's a big miracle. But we have been making progress, and I believe we are still making progress, even though it doesn't always look like it. It was an act of creative imagination aligned with spiritual truth, that all people are created equal. The truth of love and justice that is the heart of God, and that vision that still fuels change and action. It started with his imagination. So what does all this mean for us here and now? It means that we are called to harness our imagination as a tool for spiritual growth and transformation. For us as individuals, for us as a unity church here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, for us as a nation and a world. We are invited to create with God by holding visions of good, of beauty, of peace, of abundance, of possibility. We are empowered to use imagination not as an idle fantasy, but as the first step in manifesting miracles. I've shared a little bit of mine. Let me share some more. In my imagination, I see this Unity Spiritual Center as a vibrant force for change right here in Albuquerque. I see a place where people come to heal, where people come to transform, where people come to learn how to apply spiritual principles to create abundant lives, lives of health, lives of wholeness, lives of peace, lives of prosperity. I see a community where individuals are supported by all of us in their spiritual unfolding. I see a place where miracles happen. I see a place with ample space and abundant resources and overflowing love to serve a greater number of people than we currently can. I see a place that changes Albuquerque, and in so doing changes our state, and in so doing changes our nation, and in so doing changes the world. We are the dreamers. We are the creators. We're not the only ones, but we can do our work right here and right now. Amen? Amen. As we imagine, we manifest. So let us continue to imagine boldly, and together let us bring forth miracles waiting to unfold. So as we prepare to end this lesson, I invite you to close your eyes for a moment. Take a breath. Bring to mind one area in your life, not in the world, in your life, where you desire a miracle. See it clearly. Imagine it already done. See the healing. See the harmony. See the abundance. See the peace. Let that image be filled with light and love. And affirm with me in consciousness, I hold the vision. I trust the process. I welcome the miracle. I am the miracle. And remember, if you can do that for yourself, you can do it for the world. Okay, open your eyes if you want. We're not done. Let us remember, it begins in imagination. Every healing, every reconciliation, every dream fulfilled, every miracle starts as a vision, a picture in your mind, in your consciousness, a seed planted in the garden of your mind. Nurture it as a farmer nurtures the crop. Water it, feed it, empower it, because now is the time to manifest miracles. Namaste.